When the internet began, bulletin board services, or BBS, became the first online communities of the so-called information superhighway. Using their phone lines, people logged in from all over America to talk about sports, games, movies, and on one BBS in particular, share their ghost stories. Over time, those communities all went dark, except for one lone server that continues to operate somewhere in an unknown part of Pennsylvania's Rust Belt. A relic of the 1990s, veiled in mystery, it is a digital archive of humanity's strangest encounters with the unknown, as told by the people who experienced them. My name is Brandon Schexnayder, and you are listening to Fear Daily.
Subject: Samantha Cole. User: JimJam74. Posted October 7th, 1996.
Ever since he showed me that fucking Polaroid, the nightmares have been getting worse. Not just vivid, raw, like someone's threading film strip straight into my brain, splicing in scenes I never saw but somehow remember. It's always the same girl, sitting cross-legged on a curb, chain-link fence sagging behind her, red sneakers in the dust, her hair tied back, face slack with that hollow look kids get when they've been told to act normal in a world that isn't. Sometimes there's a hole in the ground beside her, just outside frame. Sometimes there's a shadow stretching out from behind her, long and crooked, twitching like it's barely holding still. When I wake, my chest is tight. I'm soaked in sweat, heart thudding like I've been running. Every noise in the house sounds like a footstep. Every corner feels watched. I keep the lights on now. Started sleeping on the couch with my boots next to me and a flashlight in my hand. I haven't made it past 3 a.m. without waking in over a week. I did not ask to be a part of this. The guy who found the photo was new at the warehouse, quiet, hands always black with grease. He bought himself a beat-up navy blue F-150, a 1981 model, and said he was cleaning out under the dash and it just fell out. An old Polaroid, heat-warped, faded at the edges, but the image was still there. That girl sitting on a curb, staring into the camera like she hated whoever was behind it. He handed it to me like it was a receipt. But it wasn't nothing. It was Samantha Cole. If you grew up in Decatur County in the 80s, you remember. She vanished in the summer of '82, 13 years old, braces, jean jacket, rode her bike to a friend's house and never came home. The bike was found a few days later, but no blood, no tracks, no sign of struggle. Just the bike, twisted and rusted like it had aged years in a week. At first, the town acted like they cared. Posters went up, news crews showed up. A week later, they were all gone, and the whole thing went quiet. Too quiet. My cousin was a deputy at the time, and one night after a six-pack and a half bottle of Evan Williams, he told me they put her in the ground under the wrong name. My uncle smacked him upside the head before he could explain. I was 12 at the time, and I didn't ask questions, not then, but I should have. See, folks around here don't like outsiders. Samantha's family had just moved in that spring. Didn't go to the same church, didn't drink at the VFW. Her daddy worked out of town, and they didn't belong. Not in that sick, silent way small towns decide what's theirs. When she vanished, There were whispers about her seeing something she shouldn't have. Something out past the cemetery woods. Something that didn't like being seen. The older I got, the more I understood. Decaturville has always had a way of handling things in-house. When something unexplainable happens, folks don't run to the law, they close ranks. Circle wagons, look the other way. Sometimes that means burying bad things, and sometimes that means feeding them. They say it started back during the Depression. Sickness swept through, and only one house on the edge of town stayed untouched, and after that, folks made a deal. Nothing in writing, of course, but an understanding. Every so often, someone disappeared. A hitchhiker, a drifter, and in '82, it was her. That Polaroid was never on any missing flyer, which means it wasn't taken by her family. It wasn't for evidence. It was personal. Someone kept it. Someone carried it. Someone hid it, and now it's found me. Since I saw that photo, things have come unglued. The break room radio flips through static, catches voices saying my name in tones that don't match the mouths they come from. Twice, I've come back from lunch to find my locker open. Once, there was a red shoelace tied in a perfect bow sitting on my uniform shirt. Another time, a strip of scorched Polaroid film, no image, just the outline of a burned face. My own, maybe. I didn't look too long. The nightmares have turned into instructions. Samantha kneeling in front of the hole, whispering down into it. And each night I get closer to hearing what she says. Each morning I remember a little more of what I forgot. That summer, the adults whispering in corners, a man with hollow eyes watching from behind the church during the candlelight vigil. Things I chalked up to childhood imagination feel real now, feel recalled. Last night, I dreamt I was back in the town square, but it wasn't right. Every window was boarded, flags faded black. The courthouse clock stuck at 2:13. I walked past an old newspaper box, and inside was that list I found behind the water cooler at work. Names written in block letters. Samantha, Daryl, a few others I don't know, but I feel them now when I sleep. I think we're all being gathered. Witnesses? Sacrifices? I don't know. This town buried its sins, and now they're seeping back up through the roots.
Subject, solo. User, Barkman33. Posted, November 2nd, 1997.
You ever notice how a forest don't make the same sound twice? I mean, I've been living out here near on 50 years now, and I swear to God these trees got their own language. I don't mean wind or squirrels or the creak of old limbs. No, I mean the kind of sound that don't come from this world. The kind that lives just on the edge of your hearing, like it's hiding from you. I call it the song. I seen the ones who sing it too. Since I was 6 years old, that was 1939. Folks said I wandered off up near Barkman Ridge, said I was chasing a rabbit or got turned around in the fog. I was gone 3, maybe 4 days. Sheriff's log put it at 79 hours, and I turned up barefoot, grinning like I didn't have a care in the world, with dried blood in my ears and river mud caked so deep under my nails the doc thought I'd clawed my way out of the earth. That part, they got right. But what they don't tell you, when nobody ever even asked me, is what I saw. You ever seen something that don't move right? Don't blink or breathe like anything alive should? That's what found me out there. They were tall, twisted things, skin like bark, faces like empty hollows in a rotten tree trunk. One wore a ring of feathers around its neck, another had arms that dragged on the ground like roots ripped from the dirt. They didn't speak, not with mouths, but I heard them. They sang. Not a song of words, a feeling, a sound like wind through a bottle, or maybe bird song stretched too long. I listened. I understood. And when they were done, they left me there, curled up at the base of a cypress tree. When they brought me back home, Mama cried. Daddy poured himself 2 fingers of corn whiskey and didn't say much. The town threw a spaghetti supper like I'd risen from the dead, but I wasn't the same boy. Something had changed. It was like I'd been claimed by the ridge. Folks called me the Barkman's son after that, like I'd been adopted by the woods. I never told anybody what really happened. Not my wife, not my boys, not even the preacher who buried my mother, but I kept seeing those things. The bark-skinned ones. Not often, just now and then, when someone was about to die. They'd be there, off in the trees, never in the open, always in the corner of your eye, silent, watching, singing. Ain't every death, just the ones that matter, I think. Or maybe the ones that stir the air, like when someone goes out with unfinished business or leaves a mark on the land. I've come to think of it like a veil, something thin between us and whatever comes next. And when that veil starts to lift, they're there to watch it happen. I started sitting with the dying. When folks passed out here, hikers, rangers, animals, I stayed close. I'd sit real quiet and listen. Every song was different, like a fingerprint made of sound, sometimes high and brittle, sometimes low and hollow, like a drum left out in the rain. I never knew if those things were mourning or feeding. Maybe even they don't know. Back in the 70s, a tornado tore through the north side of the park, flattened a campsite. I found a couple in their tent, crushed under a poplar. She was gone, but he was still breathing, and there they were, 4 of them, standing just beyond the tree line. One was holding something in its hand. I don't know what it was. Moss, maybe hair. The song that time was low and steady, like a lullaby in reverse. The man died not long after. I just sat there with him, not because I had to, but because someone should. I guess over time, I started to feel like it was my job. If I saw him, I stayed. I listened. I bore witness. I've spent more time with the dead than the living. That's just the truth of it. My wife, bless her soul, used to say I was more shadow than man. Maybe she was right. She'd catch me staring out at the trees like I was waiting for something, and I was. Thing is, last week, I heard this song again. I was up in the fire tower for a routine check. Fog rolled in thick, cold enough to bite, and there they were, down at the base. 4 of them, bigger than I remembered. One wore a crown of bones. Another dragged a rusted chain behind it. They didn't speak, they just sang. And for the first time, I couldn't tell who the song was for. That's when it hit me. Maybe it's for me. I've been forgetting things lately. Hands tremble. I can't tie my boots some days. I wake up and feel like I've never really slept. Doc says it's just age, but I know better. The song is getting louder, closer. I think they're here for me, and that's all right. You spend your life with one foot in the woods. You start to expect this kind of end. I ain't scared. I'm just tired. Tired in a way bones understand. This morning, I woke up before the sun, made a fresh pot of coffee, and stepped outside, and there they were, just past the woodpile, singing.
Fear Daily is an independent podcast hosted by Brandon Schexnayder and written by Brennan Storr, with Joanna Smith serving as the consulting editor, audio production by Rachel Boyd, and sound design by Southern Gothic Media. This podcast is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are either products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or to real events or locations, is entirely coincidental. Ad-free versions of Fear Daily are available now on your favorite podcast apps. For more information, visit feardaily.com. But move fast, before the server goes offline.